Hello everybody, welcome to Josh Dell'Aria's Musical Escapades. My name's Josh Dell'Aria, your host, and today I have some great new music bred from my home state of Massachusetts. This is Lula Wiles, who is not one woman, but rather three. They actually all grew up in Maine, and they all ended up going to Berklee College of Music, and that's where they formed the band. So to give you guys a sense of what these ladies like to write about, I actually have a quote from their website that pertains to their newest album, What Will We Do? And they said they wanted to write an album that reflected what we are all staying up late thinking about and confiding in our friends about. So basically, it's just about all the feels. Now, because I'm a guy, I don't really talk about all the feels all that much. It's just not what guys do. So it took me a little bit of time to really understand and appreciate this song for what it is. To be honest, I know that ladies really like to talk about their emotions a lot more than guys do. It just is the way it is. So the band released this album in January, and I didn't discover it until March, and I picked up this song right at that time, but I was still kind of like, I don't really get it, I'm not quite sure how good this is, and it really took me a long time, really up until close to now to come to appreciate it. So I'm actually going to go ahead and play this song for you guys. This is called Independence Day, which is from Lula Wiles' new album. And I hope you guys like it just as much as I do.
It's Independence Day and I'm alone, trying not to pick up the phone and call you just to ask how you've been sleeping. I know it's hard on the road. There's fireworks in the field outside of town. All our friends are cheering at the sound, but I'm back by the car, keeping my eyes shut as the flames crash all around. And hey there, honey, would you write me a letter? I don't need it, but I might feel better. I knew we would last forever. Crying to the blue. Now I'm drowning in all these things that never used to make me think of you. And hey there, honey, would you write me a letter? I don't need it, but I might feel better. I knew we would last forever. Sweep me in its undertow. I'll lean into the wind and let it blow. And letting myself miss you still feels better than somehow letting go. So tell my mama that I'm coming on home with a suitcase full of dirty clothes to forget for a while what I've always known. Oh, hey there, honey, would you write me a letter? I don't need it, but I might feel better. I knew we would last forever.
right, so I'm actually going to start at the start, as I normally do with most of these songs, and what I want to focus on right at the beginning is the precision of these instruments. So, one of the things that you might notice in there is just, I guess, I'm not sure quite how to explain it, but you probably hear a little bit of the guitar coming in kind of loud, a couple of spots here and there, and the rest of it is all quiet. And I really like that for a couple of reasons. So, what they're doing there is they're actually doing a really good job of playing the notes accurately, making sure they play the right notes, the ones that are written, obviously. So, that's obviously great that they're being precise in that manner. But I also like that they're being very precise with the loudness of each note and making a couple of them stand out and not like all in a row, not all consecutive. I think that's actually really impressive because it just takes a lot of focus to be able to play those notes at the right volumes in that manner, especially where they're all moving around and in different spots on the guitar as they're playing them in that instance. So, yeah, I actually think that they deserve a lot of credit for being able to play their instruments so accurately and so precisely. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and turn my attention to the lyrics now, and there are a couple of things that I want to talk about here, but I'll play a little bit of a snippet of it so that we can kind of get started.
It's Independence Day and I'm alone, trying not to pick up the phone and call you just to ask how you've been sleeping. I know it's hard on the road.
Okay, so the first thing is the spacing in between these lines, and I think we had talked about this a little bit last week in my review of Firefly Burning's song Breathe Shallow, and one of the things that I mentioned was that they kept their lines extremely short so that you could digest them, and they put space in between those lines so that you had time to process them and really understand what they were talking about. In my opinion, Lula Wiles does the same thing here. Now, their lines aren't quite as short. They're probably standard length lines. It's about 2 measures apiece. But nonetheless, it's the space in between them still allows you to grasp what they're saying. It's Independence Day and I'm alone. Trying not to pick up the phone. And then there's a longer one, and call. What is it? And call you just to ask you how you've been sleeping. I know it's hard on the road. So, they put some longer lines in there, but the spacing is probably a more important thing because, again, that's what really gives you the opportunity to grasp what these ladies are saying. Now, the other thing they do with the spacing that could easily be missed is that they actually make the spacing a bit shorter the first time through. And that's what causes that kind of thing that you're like all of a sudden unpredictably like, whoa, why are they singing here all of a sudden? Well, they only made that first gap 1 measure, and they made the others in the verses, at least the first 2 verses, 2 measures. And so when you think about it, the way it's going is it's Independence Day and I'm alone, 2, 3, 4. Trying not to pick up the phone, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And call you just to ask you how you've been sleeping. I know it's hard on the road, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the way that goes in that first verse, and actually carries on up through the second verse, and they change it in the third verse, which I'll explain later. But the way that goes allows them to come in a little bit more quickly with that second line, which I actually kind of found very unpredictable, but it sounds really natural, so it sounds like it's supposed to be there, and it really gives the song a nice touch when you hear that line come in so quickly. I think it would be really tempting to kind of follow the typical standards of giving like 2 measures of space between each line, but the fact that they don't do it, I think, kind of helps these ladies stand out. So I do also want to talk about their vocabulary in this instance because I think it's really rich and very specific, which I think actually really works in their favor. What it tells me is that Lula Wiles is actually being very authentic with this song, because I think another person could look at this issue and say, yeah, that's not really a problem in my life. And so why I think this is actually really good is because to me, it sounds more to me like they're writing about something that really has had an effect on them. And they're not just trying to capture a feeling that everybody else in the world has. And I don't really get a chance to mention this often, but I think this is really a great example of how to be different and unique when you're writing about a topic that a lot of other people have already written about. I really think that you have to be more specific than anybody else to your specific situation than anybody else was to theirs in the past. And I think Lula Wiles did a great job of doing that in this song. I really find that to be incredibly difficult, especially given the wealth of music that's been created in the last, goodness knows what it's been, 20-ish years or so. To be able to do that like nobody else has, I think, Molly, Issa, Ellie, if you guys are watching this, I really commend you on that, because it's an incredible job that you've done to be able to do that. Okay, a couple other technical things before I get to that all-important third verse and final chorus. So at the end of the second verse, the lady singing in the background put a couple of ahs in there, and they sound like this. See, I thought that was a really great idea, because they're in the background and they're kind of leading us into the chorus, and that actually really sounds nice. So I figured I'd point that out because it just sounds really beautiful to me. On the other hand, this is what they do after the second chorus. So I have a couple of problems with these oohs after the second chorus. So the biggest thing is that they're in the foreground now because the lead singer is singing them. And so that's going to make them stand out. And I don't know, I just don't necessarily feel like oohs and ahs are the things you want to stand out in a song. I do think that they're typically better suited in the background most of the time. Or at least in this instance, I would definitely say that they are not very well suited for the foreground. And then the other thing about them is that I don't think the contour is very good, because I don't think that, I think that because the structure is the same of each ooh, just bringing it up in pitch doesn't really do much. I really do feel like that section would probably have been better served by some sort of instrumental. Because I think you can make more direction out of that. But that's my thought on that. Alright, here is the third verse.
The road will sweep me in its undertow. I'll lean into the wind and let it blow. And letting myself miss you still feels better than somehow letting go.
So this, in my opinion, is the absolute best verse in the song. This is probably the best part in the song, this and probably the final chorus combined with it. But really, I think that, as you can probably hear from that, Lula Wiles unloaded their absolute best vocabulary in the song in that third verse. They really made their point clear, which is what they needed to do in that spot in the song. And I think that's where a lot of musicians really stumble, is that they don't use that part of the song, third verse or bridge, to really make that clear point at the very end. And the other thing they did in this verse too is they changed the structure up quite a bit. So it again got you to be able to hear lyrics that kind of come from a different approach, and it just sounds really awesome. And then in this final chorus, they add these extra lyrics in here.
So tell my mama that I'm coming on home with a suitcase full of dirty clothes to forget for a while what I've always known. Oh, hey there, honey, would you write me a letter? I don't need it, but I might feel better. I knew we would last forever.
Yeah, I think this is such a great idea too, because it kind of lengthens that final chorus so it can make it much more of a focal point as the song is going out. And the biggest thing too about that too is that Lula Wiles is really loud in that part, which they should be, because it's really the pinnacle of the song. And so it really needs to be, emphasized. And doing that over a short chorus is not really easy. But sometimes it might just be easier in some ways to think that, you can just use the same thing twice over, but that can also sound kind of repetitive. So I really like the idea that they put in some extra lyrics in there to give more of a sense of what's going on toward the end of that song, and then come back to that previous chorus that really holds the glue for the song. And so I really think that this third verse and final chorus are excellent ways to pull that song to a close. Alright, since this is a 2019 song, it's eligible for the top 20 of 2019, so I gotta give you guys a verdict. And I would say that I am going to go ahead and nominate this song for the top 20. There are definitely a few flaws in the song, but with the vocabulary, the way the lyrics are set up, the authenticity of the song, that really stands out to me. That third verse and the final chorus are just phenomenal. So yeah, I gotta give this song a shot at the top 20, and I'd be happy to see it in there. So you never know again toward the end of the year, because I don't know how the top 20 is going to shake up until I actually put it together. But I think this song has a good chance, so I'm going to give it that shot. Well, hey there, honey, that's all I have left to say about this song. Thank you all for watching, and I had to give a big thank you to Lula Wiles' team, Molly Farr over there, for allowing me to use the music in this video. Molly's their manager, and also Mark Satloff and Andrea Evanson for the ability to use these photos in here as well. So I thank you guys all for that. Guys, go check out Lula Wiles online. They're on at lulawiles.com, and I will, as always, put their social media links down in the description below. And as you guys all know, it's starting to come down to the wire here for getting songs in for the top 20, and to be perfectly honest, right now, I really don't have enough songs from this year to make it legit. So I need you guys' help. I need some songs that you guys have absolutely loved that come out this year, that you guys think that deserves a shot at the top 20. So tell me in the comments below, or you can email me here at joshdell'Ariasmusicalescapades@gmail.com, or you can post a message on my Facebook, facebook.com/JoshD'sMusicalEscapades, and I will listen to the song. No guarantees that it'll wind up in the top 20, but it might, so you never know. The only way that it won't is if I never hear about it, and you could have told me. So tell me, I want to know. And with all that said, thank you all for watching, and until next time, go make great music, everybody.